Hey everyone, my name's Andy. My channel is Finding Value. If you like making money, if you like commodities, if you like investing in undervalued assets that make a lot of money on the upside called asymmetric bets, this is the channel for you. That's exactly the companies that we identify in this community on this channel. We look at uranium, oil, gold and silver, anything that's commodity related because that is what's extremely underpriced right now. We look at it, we identify companies, and we share it with everybody. So in this presentation, I'm going to go over gold and silver companies and a strategy that you could employ on this large gold and silver pullback. It's always good to develop a strategy and to know a big picture view of where we're at and what the large opportunities are in front of us. So let me go through this presentation. Let me show you how big these opportunities are, and maybe I can give you a little bit of a strategy as we go through it. So gold and silver, we had a pullback. So the first thing we want to do is relax. We need to remain calm and we need to remain focused. We need to get a game plan in place, which is a strategy. And then we need to execute to that strategy. So I want to show you something first on the opportunity size that's in front of us. So first is a cup and handle pattern, which is a continuation pattern. We have a stock that moves up. It develops a cup, a handle. We've got the top of the cup and handle, and then a breakout. The size of this pattern, the breakout size, is the same size as the cup. That's how big it is. So I'm going to show you a large chart pattern to give you a perspective on gold. This isn't short term. This is a very large pattern. This is many years. This is a 2000 run up, big move higher. We developed a cup, and then we got this handle coming up. And this cup right here is from 2011 all the way till very recently. This was the pullback in mid 2020s, and now we're heading up. This is projected roughly to go about $2,800 on a normal charting pattern. If it's logarithmic, it's going to be even higher than that. Next, we have, this is a logarithmic chart on silver. This is a very large cup and handle pattern back in the early 70s, all the way over, and then the handle. This projected upside on a logarithmic chart is $700 in silver. If you don't do it on a logarithmic, it's around $100. Now, I think that the price is going to probably go somewhere between those two numbers, 100 and 700, and it could potentially do it very quickly. It's a very large chart pattern. This has a lot of power and energy behind it when it goes. I'm going to zoom in on gold and silver and just describe on a very short-term basis what potentially could happen. We have a lot of very large momentum, big candlestick. Big candlesticks equal large momentum. It means a lot of energy is being released for this sell-off. Someone came in here and dumped it like hell. We're right at the top of a support line, and potentially this momentum needs to get worked off a little bit coming up in the next day or week. I'm expecting the chart to turn around in that time period or so. We'll look at the candlesticks and see when that turns. However long it takes, but I'm hoping it does it pretty quick. And I'll let everybody know what that looks like when it does reverse and happen. So it has a little bit of momentum coming down, quite a bit of momentum that needs to get worked off before it heads on up. Next, I want to show you the opportunities. This is First Majestic Silver. I drew a trend line, a downward trend line here. We're right at the top of this trend line. Now, it takes energy to break through this trend line. We came up and touched it, and it came back. And I'm looking for this to head right on through this downtrend because of the market conditions. I have a lot of videos that I released on why the market conditions are extremely favorable for commodities and real estate and whatnot. The inflationary push. We need to look at this because the opportunity here, this chart pattern being this large, means that when it breaks, the cheetah is released to the wild. We call it moving at cheetah speed on this channel. It breaks and it's going to move a lot higher after this chart break. That cheetah is going to be released to the wild. This pattern will cease to contain the price and it will move very high. Here is Endeavor Silver, a similar, very long chart pattern. It broke to the upside. We'll see, typically it'll do a back test, and I'm going to zoom in here to see if it's back testing on this pattern. Hey, look at the back test. We got like a cup formation here. We've got a nice pattern here, and it back tested. We have a wick on the bottom, so what that means is the opening price and the closing price, it went out through the day, and then momentum shifted and came back up, and I think hopefully very soon this thing will continue to move to the upside. Looks pretty good. Next, Fortuna Silver Mines, similar pattern. Draw on the top, the top resistance support line, the trend line. We came up, reversed momentum, came down, and we're right here touching the top. Well, we touched the top of this trend line and ended a little bit above it. Maybe we have a little down day, maybe we have a reversal wick on the bottom pattern. We'll see what comes, but we're right there back testing this trend line. Next, Discovery Metals. Just wanted to say, came up into this pattern. We're still in this pattern, working it out. You could even draw another trend line here. We broke to the upside and then came back in the pattern. Either way, we're in a pattern right now, but it's a very good company to look at. Next is gold mining. This was someone that was asking about it in the comments section. I decided to chart it. Bullish piercing, which is a chart pattern, reversal pattern where the reverse gone up. We have another bullish engulfing here, which meant it was going to have some momentum to go to the upside, but we have this big sell-off. Nice little wick on the bottom, which is also a reversal up. I'd like to see this thing move on up. I think this is a false breakout to the downside. We'll see with time. Next, this is all huge opportunities. The charts I showed you were it was a decade-long charts. So the decade-long chart of a price breaking that decade-long chart means that it's going to move to the upside quite large. The opportunity is very large when you break large chart patterns. And what I say is when you break monster patterns change lives. That's how much money comes to you when they break. We need to see the momentum shift first before we go and pile in a bunch of money. Now, I'm already invested in these companies. I'm a long-term holder. But if you're going to add, you might as well add and cost average in slow and add into the strength. So right now we have a lot of weakness. We have a lot of momentum to the downside. It's coming down. Let that momentum dissipate. Let's see what the charts tell us that we should be doing. And when that reversal happens and when that momentum dissipates to the downside and starts to reverse to the upside, we pick up our shares. So that's the strategy. That's the game plan. Look at your companies that you like, chart them out like I did right here. If you have some companies that you really like, put them in the comment section. Let me know what you like. I like to see what other people have, and perhaps I'll chart it, maybe even this weekend, for everyone on the channel, so we can share a lot of these really good chart patterns. So the strategy is wait for the momentum to dissipate. Wait, be patient. Cost average in. If you want to be aggressive, you can be aggressive and start cost averaging in now. That's up to you. Find your favorite companies, look at the chart patterns, be confident in the long term here. The valuations on a ratio perspective. When I talk about ratios, we look at value, and ratios tell you relative value of asset against asset over time. The history tells us that gold is extremely cheap in relationship to the money supply, in relationship to stocks, in relationship to anything you want to measure it by. Silver has incredible industrial uses ahead of us. The future is extremely bright for silver. For platinum, extremely bright. And for other commodities, commodities are all extremely cheap to gold, and gold is cheap to everything else. And when this reverses in a commodity super cycle, the opportunities are everywhere in a lot of these commodities. I go over a lot of these commodities in these videos. I go over the valuations, the ratios. I go over all these things. Join the channel, join us in this community, and let me help you with this commodity super cycle that's coming, make you money. So be patient. Maybe think about the strategy that you want to, deploy here, and be confident. We have large gains ahead of us. If you guys like this content, give me a thumbs up. I appreciate you listening. This is Finding Value.